Hey everybody, Ren Carruthers here. This is your Future Stars forecast, and I have my very special guest right alongside. I always get confused. Well, anyway, this way. There we go. This is Tim Hamm, trader, and all around awesome guy, Tim Hamm. Thank you so much for joining me. I had some technical, silly difficulties on my end because somehow I had muted my own computer. Didn't realize it, so we're running a bit late because of me. I apologize. But yeah, tell us where you are because it's actually quite exciting.
I'm at the Ocala Breeders' Sale. Ran our farm, does a little bit of everything. We breed a bunch of 2-year-olds. We go to the sales. We race them, the whole nine. So I'm at OBS today selling 2-year-olds.
Well, let's take it on back because of the fact that you are at OBS. Your venture into doing what you do with these thoroughbreds really goes back. I mean, before you worked with your parents. Your parents had Arabians and saddlebreds, but you really got into the thoroughbreds. In 1994, you picked up a filly that ended up being very important. Can you tell us about her?
Yeah, the first filly we bought was here in April 1994. Had a little beginner's luck. She ran, she won early, kind of peaked, tweaked my interest in thoroughbreds, and from there it was more horses and more horses and more horses. So it kind of just shaped my life from there.
Yeah, and froze for there we go.
Pardon me?
No, you're good. You're good. It just froze momentarily, but you're good now. But one of the other things that happened also, I believe in 1996, you picked up 4 fillies.
Yeah, one of which was Rose-Colored Lady, which you probably are referring to, and she was a nice race mare, and was a great producer. Produced too much bling. We went on to sell her at auction very well, and it kept getting me deeper and deeper into the horses, and it just evolved slowly over time.
Well, a horse that you had a tremendous success with, and I think a lot of people don't realize, the behind the scenes. As you said, you do a little bit of everything within the industry. But one of those horses being Wait a While. And can you tell our viewership just, what you had to do with her?
We bought Wait a While at the September sale. I think it would have been 05, maybe 04, I'm sorry, yearling sale. Took her, pinhooked her at the Calder Miami sale when they still had at Calder Racecourse. She did very well racing. Of course, she won the Eclipse for Todd Pletcher. And the very next year, we bought a filly. Wait a While had a lot of scope, a lot of leg to her. We just liked the balance she brought. The next year, we bought a filly by Sky Mesa, who was Sky Diva, who we sold Puglisi and Steve Placeres. She was also a Grade 1 winner at 2. So those 2 fillies kind of went a long way with establishing some credibility and getting you rolling.
Well, definitely. What is it? What do you think it is that you are noticing in these horses that sets them apart? I mean, to have that type of success, being able, pinhooking is so difficult. I don't think people really realize what goes into it and how you really need to be able to project what a horse is going to grow into.
That's exactly right. You don't want to get the finished product in September of their yearling year. You want a horse that's going to improve a lot until their 2-year-old year. So you kind of look for something that has the ingredients you like, that looks like you can make a step forward over that 6-7 month period. And I mean, that has a lot to do with it. There's a little bit of the luck component in every aspect of the horse business. So it's a real chess game, and it's a lot of fun, and it really piques everyone's interest that's involved in the game from a lot of different aspects.
Do you have, because again, the fact that you are adept at all these different facets within the industry, is there a niche which you really find that you get the most enjoyment?
We definitely get the most enjoyment out of developing young horses. We love taking the yearlings, getting them to the races at 2, and seeing what they turn out to be, whether it's through the auction ring or whether it's through racing. I think we get an equal amount of enjoyment out of both, as long as we can make a horse a good horse.
What do you think the key is to getting a young horse started? Everybody has their different training philosophies. What is yours?
Well, our main component is treat every horse the same, regardless of what price they came from or what background. And we've ended up having some really, really nice horses from modest backgrounds by following that philosophy. And that's really the one thing I can say. The other thing is we have a very well-developed product over about 20 years of training these babies that we believe in. And I always tell our assistants, it's like watching grass grow. They do it, they do it, they do it. And they come along in the spring, then you start sorting them out. But I think the main component is giving them all the same opportunity.
Well, that definitely, is the footing you want to start off on. What goes into just for people completely outside of the realm of training a horse, people who love horse racing, but maybe we've never even touched a horse before. How do you start a young prospect?
Well, we start a young. We actually, everybody does it different. We do a little bit of ground handling and line driving, but we actually pony break them first. The very first thing we do when we break our yearlings is break them to the pony. We actually will take a pony into the stall with them and get them turning both ways. We saddle them in there with the pony and bridle them, and they get very comfortable to have a partner. We go out, into the shed row, and we just progress them from there. But we actually start the very first thing with the saddle is pony breaking them, and we found that it works really well.
Well, how important then is it for you to find just the right ponies?
That's exactly right. Not only the right pony, but the right person to be on its back and to know when to move and not to move and so forth. But it just works very well for us, and it gives the horse a kind of like something to lean on and something to secure them in their training.
What do you find has crossed over from your early work working with your family, with the Arabians and the saddlebreds, from these different breeds? I mean, a horse is still a horse. Obviously, we always hear about the Arabians being hot-tempered, and I can say that because I'm Middle Eastern. So what is it do you find that it has been beneficial in the tutelage there that you've carried over into working with the thoroughbreds?
It's interesting you say that. The first day I was at a racetrack, everyone thought the thoroughbreds were hot-blooded, but coming from Arabian and standardbred background,
right? I'm
like, you got to be kidding me. These things are so docile compared to where I was at. But, I think the horsemanship is universal.
Yeah.
And I've found the people that come from other aspects of the horse world, I think, have great horsemanship, whether it's show jumping, whether it's the Arabians, the saddlebreds. I was very fortunate to work with a world-renowned saddlebred trainer named Gray Barham. I'm sure you haven't heard of him. He was about 90 when I worked with him when I was 12. But he was very, very good horseman, and I got to learn a lot from him. His 5-gated horses, 3-gated horses, and all that horsemanship transfers over. And I feel like we were able to offer that to the people that work for us, a little bit of background in horsemanship outside the thoroughbred world.
Is there anything that you feel was the most fundamental a bit of insight that he gave you? Because, I mean, for somebody like that to have been at that age, obviously he's going back to when the horses were really much more part of the symbiotic relationship with humans. So I'm guessing there was something that was very, maybe set apart from what we have, modern times, how we coexist with them now in training practices.
Well, with the saddlebreds, I'll refer to them because that was really more of a background than the Arabians for me. I handled Arabians and walked them stall to stall, but I never actually showed them or rode them much. But from a saddlebred perspective, keeping the horse calm, having really good hands, having proper position of the feet. It sounds kind of weird in the thoroughbred world, but if you watch and if you take those fundamentals and transfer them over, I think it does make a difference if you can get your riders to do some of those things. And our philosophy is this: we can't make a horse faster. We can have them good-minded, so we really work on their mind. And I think the riders very, very important. You got to have good riders with good hands. So we work on that, and we work on good nutrition. And then, I think training is overrated because I think you can do so much, and it's those core things. Of course, you can overtrain is my big thing. I think, there's some of that, but really the core fundamentals of nutrition, good riders, and just keeping a good mind on the horse are our basic fundamentals.
Well, you've already had so much success, in Ohio. You've got 25 champions, I think, 5 horses of the year, or is there another one now that I'm missing?
I really don't have an exact count, but Esplanade was horse of the year as well as 2-year-old filly in 2020. They announced that about 2 weeks ago, so that was
okay.
Really
So that
nice.
Would be 6, I think.
Yeah, I think that would have been the 6th, and which is great. And I will say this: there's been 3 2-year-old fillies that were Ohio horse of the year, and we had all 3 of them, so that's kind of special to us.
Gosh,
One of them was Need More Flattery, which I'll say she just sold a gun runner colt for $1.7 million at the Miami sale. We raced her throughout her career in Ohio, and she was a 2-year-old filly and horse of the year. The other one was a daughter of Too Much Bling, which was Significant Bling, and the third one was Esplanade.
That's awesome. What's it like for you to see, for example, what you just mentioned there with Too Much Bling, just generation after generation, to have that, to know that you found that mare first?
No, that's really, really satisfying, and it actually kept me in the business. I did construction and horses simultaneously for a while, and when you're getting started, we were pretty much self-taught and supplied her own horses, supplied her own product. So you need those big hits, and she really put us over the top as far as making me want to continue and supplying the funds to do that. And Too Much Bling certainly was a special horse, and it has added a lot back into our program. We still have some daughters of his that we're racing and breeding, so it's really cool.
Well, you also, speaking of, so your brother Tom actually works for Three Chimneys, right?
Correct.
And he's with Stallion. What department is he in? He works with the
He's
Stallion.
a stallion manager, in charge of breeding seasons. He actually, Tom's background, he was a police officer in the Cleveland area.
Wow.
And he came to work with me at the tracks, and then he went from there to TaylorMade for 12 years and was their general manager. Wow. And then he is at Three Chimneys now. My
goodness. So you guys must be very excited about Gun Runner.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've got a really nice 2-year-old named Woodline out of Gun Runner that's been working forwardly at Keeneland, so we're excited for his first start. And,
I will keep my eyes open for that horse.
Woodline, keep your eye on him. Very nice horse.
Wow. Well, because, I mean, here's the thing. When you're looking at the freshman crop of sires, right, and you stand a stallion yourself there, you're partnered with WinStar up in Ohio. At
National Flag, yes.
National Flag.
Correct.
So you obviously know what you're looking for, and you must feel, I love that you know again, I keep saying the word facets, but that's true. I mean, to have your hand in so many different areas, from the breeding to the training, the breaking and the training. I mean, so often, obviously, it's kind of funny because people outside the sport, I don't know that they necessarily realize that before a horse even goes to the track, they've gone through a lot of training on these training farms, and getting the whole process of being broke and all of that. And it's so fundamental to what they do when they finally do get to the racetrack. But yeah, I think a lot of people just think that the trainer has always been the trainer from the very beginning. But in your case, that is the case.
Most of the time, Ren, we pick them up as yearlings at the latest and take them from there. A lot of them are born right on our farm. We have a bunch of homebreds with WinStar, as you mentioned. And that's been a tremendous partnership for us. It's been great. And I'm very excited and proud that they got into the Ohio program as deeply as they have. We've had a lot of success there with them. And National Flag's first crop will be two-year-olds of 2022, and we're very excited about them as well.
Well, Spitestown, he and his sons, I mean, you've got Munnings, Tam Arcuz is doing, I think he kind of came in under the radar, and he's had some runners, and then Spitester and National Flag you've got there, like you said, in Ohio. And Ohio has a lot of incentives to run there.
They do. We used to always joke years ago, people would say, oh, but you made that in Ohio. I'm like, well, the banks never turned down a check for the mortgage because it was made in Ohio. And that was a big joke back in the day. And
I love it.
Like I said, fortunately, some people around the country like WinStar have recognized the state bred programs, and it's been very good, very good.
Well, what have you seen change over the years with that? Because, it's always interesting to me. I grew up in Michigan. I grew up going to DRC. We had a breeding farm, and we'd race them there. I was little at the time, but still, I remember all of that and just how important it was that even if you didn't own the horse, because we had a horse that we had bred, and she ended up being horse of or filler mare of the year 2 years in a row. And we didn't have to do anything. We just picked up the checks because we got 10% of whatever she made based on the breeding program there. But with Ohio and just these different states putting in these incentives, New York is huge, for example, and Florida.
No, absolutely. And again, the Breeders' Awards are a big component of the state bred program, which is what you just referred to. That's part of the incentives for us and WinStar to get in. And the stallion in Ohio gets another percentage. They get 10%. The mares get 15% in Ohio. So it adds up to a sizable amount at the end of the year, and it's been good.
Well, you also have partnered up with Sienna Farm. And you guys has had quite the ride in 2020 with, oh, look, see, you're popular. Everybody is looking to get a hold of Tim. You guys had, this amazing ride last year with Day Out of the Office. And before we get into the actual start of her career officially, can you just tell us about how she came to be? Because it's bred by Sienna Farm, but you guys, you've been partnered for quite a long time, beyond her conception. So can you talk about that a bit?
Sure, absolutely. We the first yearlings we partnered with Sienna, they sent me a nice Ghost Zapper colt. Oh no, I'll take that back. They sent me a filly by oh gosh, I'm gonna draw a blank on the name. It was an Australian horse. Anyhow,
Redoubt
sent me
Choice?
a filly. She was pretty crooked and pretty small. And they said, then they felt bad. About 3 weeks later, they called and said, hey, we're going to send you a Ghost Zapper horse. Maybe the two of them and make it worth it. So we did that. The filly was named Velvet Mood. She won her first 3, and we sold her rather well. She won Stake and Woodbine.
I can check that.
Girl. And then so we had a successful kickoff to that partnership. The colt that they threw in as the gravy didn't end up doing so well, but he's got a great home with their grandson, so he's happy that way. And then Lonro, thank you. Boy, you're right on
welcome.
it. Yes, Lonro. I was right about an Australian sire, though, right?
You were, yes. Yes, you were.
So anyhow, that filly was very successful. We sold her well, and then each year after that, we've done 2 or 3 yearlings with them, with mixed successes and average and good and bad. Then when I went the year that we got Day of the Office, they showed me some yearlings, and then they showed me Office, and of course she was big and scopy and pretty, and we ended up being able to put that together as well and get her in our program.
Well, you know, when you started her, did you know off the bat that she was going to be special?
Early on, she showed a ton of promise. I mean, you know, we've got a great staff at the Ocala farm that works with them. Scooter Davis is there. He's got a great eye for a horse, and both Scooter and I both felt she was probably the best yearling on the farm. Guess it wasn't hard to identify with what she did, but yeah, she looked pretty special early on. And as the Sienna guys, Nacho and Dave Pope and Anthony, we communicated, we expressed that, and ended up coming to fruition.
Well, the thing that was so exciting about her for you, I would imagine, is the fact that, you know, with all the success you've already had in these different lanes of the industry, she became, as a trainer, for you, with that title, your first Grade 1 winner. And that was in winning the Frizette Stakes, which was her 3rd consecutive victory, because, you know, she'd already won her debut by 4 3/4 lengths. Then she won the Schuylerville by 6. And then she put up that 95 buyer winning the Frizette by 2. And I actually have the replay and we'll show that. But as this was progressing, and this is also, you know, the other thing I want people to realize, this is also happening and progressing while we're going through the craziest year as, you know, a globe we've had with this pandemic in modern times. So what was that ride like for you?
It was extra special, Brandon. And it was a little weird. We were at Saratoga for the Schuylerville, and she crossed the line. You look around, there's nobody there but you and about 10 people. That was kind of surreal, but as far as the accomplishments of the horse, it was really great to know that your program can actually follow through, keep a horse of that caliber, and get it done. So it was really special, and you're right, it was our first Grade 1 winner, and she always will be.
Well, let's take a look back here. This is the Frizette 2020, and let's see, I'm going to share my screen. I will share the audio, and feel free if you want to talk over it, if there's anything that, you know, we, you know, don't notice as just viewers watching a race that you do see as a trainer that you think, what, you know, thought was really particularly interesting about the performance. Make this as big as I can. And then,
I would say the interesting thing about this and the Schuylerville both, Brent, is as I watched the race, it's kind of eerily how you would just picture it, how you want it to unfold. Both races, Junior got in a great spot stalking, and being a spectator as I am at this point when they're on the track, it looked like she had the race in control the whole time, and it looked the same way in the Schuylerville. And when Junior, before the Frizette, we talked, I said, ride her just like you did in the Schuylerville, kind of being kind of a funny joke, but that's exactly how I rode her and exactly how it turned out. So there was really not much more to it from a trainer's standpoint. We got a great trip, and she's got a lot of tactical speed. She puts herself in the race readily, and as a jockey, you can kind of place her where you like.
well, how did the relationship with Junior come about for this horse?
I've known Mike Solito for years and years. Actually, Richard McGlory rode the Florida Derby, and I won the Florida Derby for me back in 2000 or 2001. So that started a relationship with Junior's agent, Mike Solito. Mike also has a good friend of mine, Pablo Morales, in New York this winter. Pablo's rode tons and tons of horses for me over the years, particularly at Presque Isle. And and Mike and I talked, and it just worked out. He was open in the Schuylerville and Junior Rotor, and we certainly were riding him back in the next one.
Well, look at her finish here, just full of of energy still.
Yeah, finished up strong, full of run, and did it the right way.
Now, obviously, we know that Vequist turned the tables on her in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. We'll go ahead and take a look at that race, but you can also give insight into that. Gosh, though, let's watch this gallop out.
Yeah.
That's a happy horse. That is a happy horse. But obviously, the one thing that I will say before I get this video rolling is that people should understand the pedigree is impeccable. I won't go into it at length as I did when we did our little feature, but just the bottom line, here you have a filly by Into Mischief, who, I mean, right, that speaks for itself right there. And then the female family is just so impressive. Mom's a half-sister to Grade 1 winner, and here comes Ben. She's by Indian Charlie. I mean, Indian Charlie as a broodmare sire has been phenomenal also. So, I mean, Vitoli, he's the broodmare sire of Vitoli, and there, I guess, that would be Hot Rod Charlie as well, right? And then, the female family includes Albertus Maximus, won the 2008 Dirt Mile, but it was synthetic then. But it's just a really deep pedigree. And also, it includes the female families responsible for Daredevil, who sired your Oaks winner last year, and She Dares the Devil, as well as the runner-up, Swiss Skydiver. And we know what Swiss went on to do in beating Authentic in the Preakness. And, it's just a tremendous, tremendous pedigree. What was there added pressure with debuting her, knowing that this is the type of pedigree that already, even if she never raced, you have broodmare potential? But dear goodness, if you get black type tagged along to that.
No, absolutely, Ren. I don't know that there was added pressure, but it was certainly, we were certainly aware of the fact that she had a great pedigree and that black type and graded black type would even mean more. So it was great to be able to get that done with the Sienna Farm people, and be partners with them on that filly and doing so. So there's a lot of satisfaction there for both sides of that team.
Oh, definitely. And is she the type that you would go and join the broodmare band there?
Yeah, she'll go to Sienna Farm's broodmare band.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay, so here is the juvenile fillies. And again, you can give whatever insight you think is valuable in watching the race.
Well, we talked here before the race that if she broke well, to let her go on and just kind of get her to relax on the front end. And that's exactly what Junior did. I mean, and from there, you can take the race from there. He's already out there, and he kind of rides the race out. We turn for home. We'll talk then, but from here on, he just kind of rides the race from the front end.
Yeah, she looked like she had plenty of pep in her step. Nice, yeah. And that's the other thing, temperament-wise, she looks like a horse with a lot of wants. She wants to compete.
She does. This filly's kind of unique in that fact. She trains very forward, aggressive. It doesn't take much to get her fit. And at the same time, she never turns a hair. She's got a great attitude. So it's really hard to get that mixture. You usually get, nervous and training aggressively, where you get lazy and doesn't. So she's really a neat mixture and really easy to train, actually.
And with a horse with such early speed like this, the break from the gate is so important. What is your methodology in going about in gate training?
Well, when we gate train, the only thing we really worry about early on for a long time until they're ready to actually get their gate card is getting them to come out straight. Go in the gate, relax, and come out straight. We don't care if it's at a walk, if it's at a jog. We just don't want to be breaking crooked and doing stupid stuff coming out of there. And once they stand in there quietly and come out straight, they get the gate very easily.
And here's another question for you. Oh, well, I'll let you talk about the stretch run here.
So right here, we turn for home. I mean, if you're going to be an armchair quarterback, you wonder why Junior opened up the rail. But honestly, I thought he rode a great race. She ran her heart out.
Yeah.
And she was just second best on that day.
Well, here we go. I took myself out of the stream by accident there, but I am back. The thing that I find so interesting with a horse like this also is, when you have to have, especially young horses, when I say this, I'm also talking about juveniles in particular, we're so effective with their lead changes. And that, you also, I mean, like, again, I like to bring this show to the public as if we are talking to the laymen out there who don't know what goes into teaching a horse to change their leads properly. Because how often do we see a horse not change their lead and they get leg weary and they cannot finish, and that's what beats them in the end.
That's one of our major things we focus on with the 2-year-olds. Left leads on the turns, right leads in the stretch. It's a pretty basic concept. You'd be surprised how many times a day we have to repeat that concept. But Scooter's great at that.
Yeah.
When I'm at the farm, I focus on it quite a bit as well. But it's very important. We feel like that's a big key into getting the job done as they get to the racetrack. So It's a pretty simple concept, but it takes a lot of repeating.
Well, in horse showing, which, did you do any showing when you worked with these other breeds, or
I
was
did.
it?
I showed saddlebreds for a couple of years.
Oh, you had the whole outfit.
Oh yeah. That's enough of that, Ren.
There's got to be a picture out there somewhere. Y'all can tweet it at Ren Carruthers. So yeah, no, it's so important. I show dressage, and so to get them to change the lead and all the balance shifting, and a lot of times, unfortunately, I think you see people. In this case, obviously, Junior's a pro, so I'm not talking about him, but sometimes you see horses and sometimes you see riders being the problem. And either the horse doesn't know how to do it, or they're too tired to do it, or the jockey is just not adjusting the balance in the right way to get them to shift, to initiate the change. And like I said, it's just, I've seen so many horses get beat simply by virtue of not changing the lead.
Absolutely. And you've hit it on the head. You'll see horses on the left lead and the kid pulling her head to the right. I don't know how he thinks he's getting his right leg over, pulling his head to the right, and he's on the left leg. But we're constantly repeating that, constantly talking about the balance and the position of your hands. And we really work at it. I mean, I'm sure most of the people that do 2-year-olds on a regular go through the same thing, but absolutely. And she's been a good horse with her leads, which is helpful to her.
Well, she's got a really nice shoulder on her too, which, I mean, the impulsion she gets pulling herself forward, and then the hind quarters come up so nicely underneath her as well. I mean, did you already, like I said, I guess, when I said, did you always know she was special, but could you also just see it in the physicality?
Well, she's so athletic, and our experiences and the horses that were built like her, Wait a While, Sky Diva, there's been some others that weren't quite as great a success. A horse named Paddington that Dickinson had years ago from us as a grade 2 or grade 3 winner. But they're all got great athleticism, good balance, and they're both got a lot of scope and leg to them. All that whole group, and she fit that mold perfectly, and it held true as well.
Well, we are so excited to see her return, because that loss there in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies on Future Stars Friday, that was her only defeat. And it was a second place finish. So you can't really get, she ran gallantly. She ran a race. Like you said, she just got beat by a horse who got was feeling it that day and got the right trip to finish. When you were just, thinking about how to bring her back into her 2021 season, her 3-year-old season, what was the initial game plan? How has it changed? And how has she been training forwardly for this 3-year-old debut?
Well, I'd say initially coming out of the Breeders' Cup, the thought in your back of your mind is the Oaks. I mean, that's pretty simple, basic thought. We wanted to make sure she got enough time off. She had a hard campaign like all those fillies do. So we gave her a break. When we got her started back, it just looked like going to the Oaks with no prep at 1 1/8 was probably a really large task that was maybe a press we didn't need to take. So then you look forward to the Acorn on June 5th. 1-turn mile, same race that she's won, same track that she's won a grade 1 on.
Yeah.
Then we kind of work backwards from there, and I think the 8 bells on Oaks Day it makes a lot of sense. So that's
7 furlongs
today. She'll Friday at Keeneland. She'll go 7/8 on the following Friday if all continues on track, and then a month later we'll look at the Acorn.
Well, that's very exciting for you. When you have this horse and you are steadily bringing her back, I like how you talked about how you're working backward from the Acorn. The 8 bells, again, like you just mentioned, on the undercard of the Oaks, and also a nice 7 furlong race where she can, I mean, it's not that you're just using it as a prop either. It's still its own nice race as well to win. But also, just the fact that, what is it like for you when you're bringing a horse to a new track each time to run? Because, obviously like you said, you already know that Belmont, that's where she won the Frisette over that 1-turn mile. When you're bringing her to Churchill now, where she's never raced before, has she ever trained there?
We've not trained her at Churchill. She'll go in after her Breeze Friday. She'll spend a few days that week at Churchill getting over the track. You never know. My experience is most of these horses handle most tracks fairly well. There's going to be that odd track they don't handle or the odd one they really love. But she's ran on, obviously, Saratoga, Belmont, Keeneland, and at Gulfstream. She's handled them all well. So I don't really have a big concern with the track at Churchill.
And she's just done everything you've asked, because going back to that debut at Gulfstream Park back in May, 4.5 furlongs, and she blitzes the field by 4 3/4 lengths. And then you moved her up to Saratoga, the 6 furlong Schuylerville, and blitzes them by 6. And then the Frizette by 2. And then I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember saying something at the time when I was discussing her with you ahead of the Breeders' Cup, and that 95 buyer of hers was like the second highest of any 2-year-old male or female. I think Jackie's Warrior only had one higher than she at the time.
Correct. And I think they finished the year in that same manner, Ren, if I'm not mistaken. So I think those were the highest 2 of the year. And I don't even think the Breeders' Cup surpassed them. So.
Well, how do you, as a trainer, bring a horse up from a 2-year-old into a 3-year-old season, hoping that it wasn't just a matter of that they were a precocious horse and now the others have caught up to them, but they themselves have progressed along as well and are carrying that same talent now at a heightened level for their 3-year-old season?
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, a lot of times you're ahead of the curve, and that's a great place to be. But you can only do everything you think's right with the horse. She still shows a great amount of ability. I have no doubt she'll show up. And that's, you can't change what it is. We were ahead of the curve probably. Obviously, we ran in May. She's able to maintain it, but she still looks like a lot of quality, and we're excited for her 3-year-old debut.
Well, I'm looking at some of the probables for the race. I don't know if you've seen any of them, but I'm looking at Sunpath for Brad Cox, Abrogate for Steve Asmussen, Windmill for Jones, Euphoric, Flint, Joyful Cadence, and Kelly Breen's Slumber Party. That's probables. I mean, these aren't entries, everybody. Have you heard who is planning on going in the race, or what type of field we may anticipate?
I've heard a lot of the same names you just mentioned. I don't think that I haven't got anything definite, obviously, but I think that makes up the majority of the horses that's been talked about, and
What's it like going into debuting a horse after they've been on the bench into a graded stakes?
Well, I mean, you can't have a horse at their peak all year, 9 months. I think this is truly a first out for us, but I think she'll be ready, and I don't think it makes or breaks her year. So we're not too anxious about it. We're not too nervous about it. We're going to get her started there and kind of let the chips fall where they may.
Well, I love that. That's a great mentality to have. The 8 Bells, a grade 2 race. Let's talk about her mom, because this is the Future Stars Friday forecast. Her mom has had some full since she's been doing her thing on track. Who can we expect sibling-wise from good old mom here? Got to have a dream.
She does not have a weanling. They had some complications, a foal by her side. And I honestly do not own the mare, and I can't tell you verbatim her yearling or what she's got.
I see that in 2019, she unnamed filly by Carpe Diem.
Oh, I have seen that filly. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it's all good. 2020 was the Bolt d'Oro. Then you're saying, I'm sorry, there was complication there.
This year, yes.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So yeah.
So in 2021 says Bred to Always Dreaming.
I don't have any update on that.
That would be an interesting name, though.
What's that?
Always Dreaming over Gotta Have a Dream.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it fits right in, huh?
Right.
Well, Sienna Farm, as you know, campaigned Always Dreaming. I think maybe in a partnership, so makes total sense there. You'd have to talk to Sienna Farm guys about that more.
Well, the names could, again, certainly be interesting there. Now, as you mentioned before at the very top of the show, you are at OBS. What have you been doing? Who have you been selling? Who have you been buying? What's the lay of the land? Because these are horses we're going to want to keep our eye on as we're going into the season here later.
So we have 4 consigned here at OBS. Our Florida Farm Breaking Center has them here. We have a Will Take Charge filly that sold today out of Sweet Nothings. Very nice filly. just sold her about an hour ago through the ring right before I signed on with you.
Nice.
We've got a couple California Chromes, one by Wildcat Lily, who has a pretty successful 3-year-old full sibling. And we've got a explainable Vancouver colt that's pretty nice. So that's what we're bringing to this sale, and watch them going forward.
Oh, that's fabulous. Have you bought anybody? You got your eye on anybody?
We do not, Ren. We have not shopped this sale. We have about 92-year-olds still back at the
Oh
farm.
my
So
gosh.
I always tell Scooter, if we can't win with those, we're probably in pretty bad shape.
Right.
So.
And you've already mentioned the gun runner colt. Who else should we maybe be keeping our eyes open for, or getting ready to add to our stable meal?
We have a really nice violence colt. His name is San Constantino. Been working at Keeneland. Actually was entered there and spiked a fever the night before. We had to scratch him, but he'll run early in the Churchill meet. And I could go on and on. Ren, we got a really nice Constitution filly named Christmas. Actually, her mom is just the Jingles, so the name kind of fits. She's we've got a full sister to Alexandria, who was a pretty nice horse. Ran third in the Pocahontas last year at Churchill. So we've got some nice young horses coming that we're excited about.
No, that does sound exciting. And then, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you. So since you don't have a dog in the fight in the race yourself, you can be brutally honest. Who do you want to win the Kentucky Derby, or who do you think has the best shot? Who's your Derby horse?
I would probably be amiss at even making a prediction, Ren. I get so involved up until 2 days before the Derby. Unless I'm in the race, I seriously probably couldn't tell you at least half of them that are in there. So, call me whatever, but we get so amassed with what we're doing here.
Hey, no, I understand.
A couple days before the race, when the actual form comes out, I'll look through it and kind of take a good look. But I'm probably the wrong guy to get handicapping advice from.
Well, let's do it the reverse then. Who, apart from not any horse that you personally have had any involvement in, because I don't want any biasness in it, who is your all-time favorite horse, period?
I've probably got to say Cigar, going back quite a while, because at that time, my interest in the horses, I had some horses, I was involved, but I had enough time to still enjoy the national scene and really follow it.
Yeah.
So he was really good at the time, and I enjoyed watching him run.
And what is the most singular, most impressive performance you've ever seen? And it could be a race before you were born too, just because for me that's Secretariat. But
obviously, Secretariat's Belmont in '73 was pretty darn big. I've got a picture of that on my wall at the office, so nice. I guess I'd have to go with that.
And what is the race you've not yet won that you want? A lot of people will be like, "Oh, well, it's Kentucky Derby," but that's not always the case for everybody. Sometimes there's a race that's more personal for some reason that means more on a personal level. So what is the race for you that you've not yet won, but is the race that you feel you've reached some sort of goal?
I'd say either one of the Breeders' Cup 2-year-old races. I mean,
I love that.
Yeah, so big in 2-year-olds. We got pretty close last year, and we always said if we won a Breeders' Cup race, the first one would be a 2-year-old filly, because we do a lot with fillies, and we came pretty close. So
yeah, you did. And so when you look back over the course of how your career has gone thus far, I mean, what is the biggest, is Dayoutoftheoffice the standout horse for you on the personal level, or is it still wait a while, even though, that was more of a behind the scenes involvement?
I would say Dayoutoftheoffice, because we kept her and actually did it on the racetrack. We sell a lot of horses, so we'll go out and have a big performance and sell them, and someone else gets to go in the graded races. So it was kind of really special to keep her and go through the process and get to campaign her.
Oh, and how did you celebrate? I know with everything being weird with COVID and shut down, not places not being open. How did you celebrate the Breeders' Cup? That was a runner-up. That's still something to celebrate because that's still a nice cut. But from the Frizette, how did you celebrate that? And then, how did you spend after the Breeders' Cup itself? Again, runner-up. I feel like with a purse like that, that's still a win.
Yeah, no, I tell you, the Frizette, it was kind of quiet. I watched it in Florida. I did not attend the race. Assistant Scooter Davis took her up there. But it was really fun. Afterwards, we went out, had a good dinner, and enjoyed the night. But the Breeders' Cup was really special. A good client of mine, Ed Pavlish, my son actually played for the state title that night. He's a quarterback in high school.
Wow.
And he's had a tremendous career. He's going to be a college quarterback. He was 50-3 in high school and won 3 state titles.
What's his name? Let's give him a shout out.
Shane Hamm.
Shane.
Yeah. So his sisters flew down the morning of and came to the Breeders' Cup. And then after the race, Ed Pavlish, he had a private jet. I had to pick between the state title game or the race. Right after the race, we ran across the street, got on his jet. He flew us up, so we did both. It was a great day, and we won won the state title that night. It was his third one in 4 years. We had a great time, so you couldn't ask for anything better.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. Wow. Well, Shane, when you're all big and famous and everything, you know, don't forget us here. We'll, you know, you can maybe come on and be one of the celebrity ambassadors for the Breeders' Cup.
He loves the horses. He actually worked the Mart sale with me, and he's very interested in the horses. So who knows down the road? Wow,
that's really well. You played football too, right? I read your bio that you played some.
A lot of high school football, and I played at Youngstown State some. It's always been in our family's blood.
Wow. Well, all I know is that you know how to compete, you know how to win, and we're very excited to see Day Out of the Office make her 3-year-old debut. And again, congratulations there at the sales. And one more time for our viewers, if you can just run over. So we got Christmas, we got Woodline. That's the gun runner.
Constantino. Topsy-turvy.
And Topsy-turvy. These are 2-year-olds to watch, everybody. Do you already have like plans for like Saratoga with them?
Hopefully, yeah, we absolutely do. There's an Esplanade, who we talked about being horse of the year, has a little brother named Condemnation that's really nice as well. So some horses to watch coming up.
Okay, well, we are going to keep them on the radar. And again, thank you for taking time out of your day. I know how crazy it can be when you're managing the sales and all of that going on. And on top of it, you still have the training operation rolling and you know, managing all the different aspects that you do oversee within this industry. But you've been a great ambassador. You've been so great with us at Breeders' Cup, and we truly appreciate everything, your time, and wish you the best going forward.
Thank you, Ren. You're great to talk to. Appreciate it.
I thank you. I appreciate you. And everybody, I hope you enjoyed this. Special guest, Tim Hamm, Day Out of the Office, 8-bell stakes, grade 2 event on the undercard of the Kentucky Oaks, April 30th. And you don't want to miss it. I'm going to be rooting for her. I don't care. I'm biased.
Thanks, Ren.
All right. Talk to y'all later.
See ya.